Hey, what's up, people? This is episode 72 of the Option Podcast. I have Wendy Jones. The episode starts right now. Welcome, people. This is episode 72. This is the Option Podcast. I'm Jason DeBias, and she's back. Guess who's back? Back again. I got to give the people what they want. Wendy Jones, what's up?
It's great to be here. I always love talking to you. I was just saying I miss our Starbucks run-in, so
Yeah,
we're
you're
all
like
back at home, and I'm happy to have the conversation. So
every time you show up at Starbucks, I feel like it's a celebrity sighting. I look at you and you look back at me and you're just like, I hope he doesn't do anything crazy. I'm like,
no, I
it's
love
Wendy
watching you sitting
Jones.
there doing good research. It's
It's Wendy
awesome.
Jones. It's For everybody listening at home, again, welcome. This is episode 72, and we had before we got into the podcast, I was getting into a discussion about public places where we want to be left alone, but at the same time we function better. For anyone who like works at home, and there's all these distractions. There's cable. If you have kids at the house, there's kids, and there's oh, I want to do this first before I do this. I want to do that first, and you become the biggest procrastinator, and you're not getting anything done. But you go to like Starbucks, you're in this place where you're not alone, you're not distracted because you're just surrounded by everybody else minding their own business and doing their thing, and it's the one place I want people around me and at the same time leave me alone. Don't talk to me, So I guess for some people it might be a library, right? It's like public setting places where coffee shops, parks. There's a reason why people do this. I think it's just to I don't know. What do you think? To hit like the reset
Yeah, no,
button?
I definitely I think it's a connection. I think I noticed it a lot this year because for a long time I wasn't going to coffee shops. Like I was coming home and making my own coffee. And we had that period of time where we couldn't. And I kind of realized it's not the coffee, it's the connection with the people working there and like seeing you or, any faces that I know. And I started stopping and I was like, okay, well, what's the cheapest thing I can order and still, um, you know, not spend $7 a day on coffee. But, if I'm done playing volleyball, it's just a fun stop to like connect. And so that's what I think it is.
Well, I knew. Look, COVID's pretty much fucked up 2020, right? I mean, this is a year when, listen, when next year starts, we just want to call next year 2020 and just pretend this year didn't happen. But in so many ways, we can't pretend because it's affected so many people financially. Some people have lost their very lives because of this, Wendy. Um, and I mean, I was going over the celebrity list, right? Like I'll start with like film people. Sean Connery, right? One of my favorite actors. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman. Think about that. Like
Yeah.
Chadwick, I mean, you can't think of a better career for any actor, black or white. I mean, he is an African American, so for him, it's like times eight. You get to play Jackie Robinson, you get to play Thurgood Marshall, right? You get to play Black Panther,
Yeah.
and there's a fourth one I'm missing, James Brown. And
Yeah.
James, I mean, he could close up shop with just those four roles, and
Right.
Brian Dennehy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite movies with him?
Oh,
He's
Brian Dennehy.
actually
God.
for me, I'll go first. It's Death of a Salesman, but not the movie. I saw him on Broadway.
Oh,
Death of a Salesman.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
he was a
fun.
long time actor, a role for that, and before Philip Seymour Hoffman, who also passed away before
Yeah.
him.
Now we've lost some good ones, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a year. And Broadway is one of the things that my daughter and I had tickets to a Broadway show. April 8th, we were supposed to go through New York on a way to a volleyball tournament. And obviously that all came to a screeching halt. And we've said the entire year, like, can't wait to get back to Broadway. It
Yeah,
is.
no doubt. Alex Trebek,
Oh,
um, Kelly and I, like part of our daily routine when it's a normal day, we have it on in the background, and we can't help it. Because I'm smarter than your average Brooklyn kid, and because Kelly's like a genius, we pretty much get every question.
That's so good.
It's I've never. I mean, to me, it's a rush because I've never had a partnership where we can
That's
we can
that's
answer every
really cool.
question.
Yeah.
So,
My
um,
grandparents used to watch Jeopardy together. They always
yeah,
had it on. But yeah, he was, I mean, they're just people that, that they figured it out. It's like that, those are the, I love to see the people that hit those highest levels of success, and yet they have these like super grounded relationships, and that's like there's so much meaning behind their lives. It's not just this like chase after crazy success, but and you notice that when the ones that you mentioned, like Sean Connery's and the Alex Trebek's, and they were connected to other people. They have those relationships in their lives, and they make such an impact.
yeah,
But reading
definitely.
those articles as they passed was, yeah, definitely
Joe,
heavy.
yeah, filmmaker Joe Schumacher, Regis Philbin, Kobe Bryant. We all know that. To me, that was the one. As athletes, that's the one that probably struck us the hardest,
Well,
right? Because
that almost
that's not
like
COVID.
to me that almost defined like we didn't even know it then. Where I mean, there was a few COVID news reports from China, but like that, like if you think about where the tragedy of 2020 started, like for me, that was like what is going on, right? And it just was this hugely deep loss that everybody felt, and then it feels like it's just kept going from there.
Yeah, and it makes you question your own mortality, right? Like,
Yep.
sometimes you just got done playing volleyball today, and we're gonna get into sports in a minute. We definitely got to talk about volleyball. I mean, it's Wendy Jones and Jason. We're gonna cover volleyball. So for everybody else, man, just take the ride with us, okay? Promise I won't take us off the cliff. Um, yeah, Kobe passing away made us re-examine our mortality. Because as elite athletes, I'm a former elite athlete, but when I'm in shape, I feel like I can't die. I feel like I could live forever. I feel like I could kick anybody's ass on the street. Who wants some? You, come on, come here, run. So as elite athletes, you feel more immortal. You feel like this is never gonna end. And sometimes when you get older, Wendy, and I'd love for you to I'm gonna give you the floor to shine on this. Sometimes when you don't die young and you get older, you learn the hard way that Father Time wins in the end. No, Father Time's not undefeated. I have a problem with that. I think that's ridiculous. Father Time gets his ass kicked plenty of times. He wins at the end, but in his case, he just retired. He could have still played, right? He's moving on to other ventures. He's younger than both of us, right?
Yeah,
And then this guy who you think would never die.
totally. I mean, he was superhuman, in everybody's eyes, anyone that watched him and followed his career, he was superhuman. And the sad thing to me is that he was leaving such a legacy for the next generation, which I think is just, for me, that's just the thing that gets me up in the morning is what's the example you're going to set for that next generation? And he was doing it. And he
Hmm.
was so into his girls, and he was, elevating women's sports. And it's just, it was surreal. I mean, I honestly, it'll be like, it was the thing that I saw. We all remember certain moments of history, and for the generation of my kids, that will be something that the day they will never forget. I mean, they cried. It was such a gut check. And yeah, it didn't feel like he could. You do feel like there's another set of rules for some people, and he was definitely one of them. But then we get reminded, it's the same. The rules apply to all of us, and you can walk out your door and everything can change. So it does make it definitely 2020 has been the
The life
huge
short
lesson
year.
is stay present, right? I mean,
Like,
all you have is now. So what are you going to do with it?
2020, life short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other celebrities: Kirk Douglas, Regis Philbin.
Yeah.
And those aren't even the athletes. The athletes, the list is longer. I mean, I mean, we steered away from COVID a little bit, and we're just talking about people that it's the end of 2020,
Yeah.
and just people we want to remember. I get that. Musicians, actually no, musicians are later. We're on Kobe Bryant, Tom Seaver, Don Shula, David Stern, commissioner, longtime
Mhm.
commissioner that turned, the I hate using the word thug league because some people think it's code word for something else. But you were looking more for a fight than it was like hockey. You were looking more for a fight than a game. And Stern did a good job with the league. Phil Niekro. I'm a longtime Yankee fan. He's a longtime Brave and Yankee pitcher. He
Okay.
pitched till he was 48 years old. He passed away at 84. And 1967 he won NL ERA title. He's 20 win seasons. And he had a knuckleball. He had a ball you could throw like literally it would like leave the screen and land in the catcher's mitt for a strike. So, Whitey Ford, Gale Sayers, Lou Brock.
Brian song.
Lou Brock, longtime career stolen bases leader until it was broken by Ricky Henderson. Cliff Robinson, and because I'm a wrestling fan, Road Warrior Animal, one of the Legion of Doom Road Warriors,
Oh,
Animal and
okay.
Hawk. Hawk died a decade earlier. So those are some of the athletes. So musicians, Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, that was a huge one for me. Oh my gosh. Like that was
What's one of your favorite
that
songs?
was my high school. I mean, you had the Walkman and the Van Halen and I had to text my high school boyfriend when Eddie Van Halen died because that was
Y'all lived off of him.
yeah,
Y'all lived
that
off
was
of
our
Van
jam.
Halen.
It was crazy. That was a big one.
I'm actually gonna move this mic back and be comfortable. Charlie Daniels, that was
Yep, and I'm a country
significant to
music
me.
fan,
The
so
devil came
that
down to
was
Georgia.
huge.
You
Oh
know,
God, yeah. Talent beyond
yeah.
belief.
I mean, I'd love to go with karaoke and sing it, but
I
can't do that. Can't do that
know all
either.
the
Okay.
words.
Bill Withers. Ain't
Yep.
no sunshine when she's gone. Or the other
Yep.
song, "Till You Use Me Up." Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun.
I think music was the other thing in 2020, man,
Mhm.
that like it got us through, I mean, even the way that artists started producing and we have double albums coming out and concerts that are, live stream concerts and just I went up to Utah and went to a Mask On concert about right before the last outbreak. So before everything shut down again. But you forget like what music just brings us. It enlivens the human spirit. Like
I
you
mean,
cannot
what is
have that
there?
taken
Yeah.
away.
Without music, what is there? I mean,
Yeah.
listen, as I go through the list, Little Richard, Kenny Rogers, you're a country music
Yeah,
fan.
huge.
Then politicians, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Herman Cain, David Dinkins, and of course the great John Lewis. Um, but for me, I agree with you with the music thing because, as I said previously on this podcast, when my escapism became my career, like this whole volleyball thing, as far playing days are pretty much done. Coaching, color commentating, podcasting. When my escapism became my career, I needed another form, another outlet to emote, where that allowed me to do my job like a mammal and performing is one of my things, and I really liked karaoke. I really liked piano bars. I don't see too many in California. In New York, there are some pretty good spots. I'm from New York,
Yeah,
but
you know what? Honestly, because I'm not a big bar going, like you don't see me out much, but if you were gonna get me out, it's gonna be to a piano bar. Like
yeah,
there's nothing better. I have a piano at my house, and Luke can play, and
yep.
I I love the piano. So yeah, and there aren't a lot of piano bars in
Do you play
California. I
piano?
remember like going to Chicago. There's some good ones, New
Yeah.
York, but California not so much.
No, I mean, yeah, it's weird, I guess. Do you play piano?
I do, not as well as my son, so now I let him play. But I mess around still when there's no one around.
Oh, you
I
got one
took
in the
lessons.
house.
What was that?
You have a piano in the house?
Yeah, I do. I have the same piano from when I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, a
Wow.
little upright,
I had a
but
piano in our house. It was a Mirantz, it was an upright. And it was an old school. It was a Mirantz. I don't even think they exist anymore. Like Steinway still exists. But
yeah,
those are more grands, right? Grands and
yeah.
not
Mine's just an
uprights.
upright
Yeah.
Yamaha, but
Yeah. I mean,
works.
it's gonna fit in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now I'm in California. Now I wish I did have a grand. I could just.
Oh,
But no, I think it's safe to say I played past tense piano. But for me, it got steered the wrong way. Turned out my piano teacher was a perv. It's kind
Oh
of a
no.
freak, and then without getting into too much detail, that went the wrong way.
Yeah, that's
Um,
not going to be enjoyable.
yeah. Actually, no, I will go there. Actually, why not? It's a podcast. Um, I'm like basically 11 to 14 years old. His name is Dr. Raymond Elliott Brock, right?
Yeah.
And I went to a Lutheran parochial school. So he's the guy that played piano for the church services for the Wednesday, the students were required to go to Wednesday service. Um, we all wore these uniforms, the green jacket, the
Oh
gray
yeah.
pants, the red tie, and all that stuff.
Yeah, my
So
kids went to Catholic
Flatbush
school.
Avenue, Brooklyn, boy, I'm running for my life just to make it home. I'm a guy a few shades lighter wearing a private school uniform. I'm in trouble. Um, but this was a guy that I don't know. He was touchy feely, which to me is always like a warning sign. But which is crazy because for me I'm touchy feely too. But okay, I'm warning myself. But he was one of these guys where like my mom wanted me to play piano because he taught piano and he impressed her. So she's like, "You're gonna play piano," and I probably would have, but when your parents make you do something, you become
Totally.
you're not delved into it as much as you want to because it's not something you want to do, and for
Yeah. Oh,
people,
for sure.
and I'm not talking about like oppositional defiance disorder. I'm, like, but
Yeah, I think like you're touching on one of the arts of parenting there, though, is like it's our job is to like show them the options
mhm,
and then see what they gravitate towards. Because the second you say like you're gonna do this,
mhm,
they're gonna go, so often they go a different direction. You see the cases of like Tiger Mom and you see it working out, but I think far more often it's you get a lot of defiance and it doesn't work out the way the parent thought it was going to work out and the kid's not happy. And to see your kid actually do what they are meant to do, that they are excited about, all of a sudden that just becomes the greatest joy of parenting that you didn't see coming. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm not a forceful, like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I kind of like to expose and then sit back and watch and go, okay, so you had a different idea. That's like my volleyball player turned theater junkie. She's a drama kid now, and she can go out and play volleyball, and she'll come out and play with us on the beach. But she's like, nah, I'm not doing this. I want to be in the play.
yeah,
So she's practicing now. She's practicing on Zoom all day. But like, for me, I knew volleyball, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put you into volleyball, and she's like, nah. My brother and sister play volleyball. I'm gonna do something else.
oh, I could definitely do scene work if she wants.
Yeah. Oh, she would.
It's my major in college. Is she a musicals person, straight theater or?
Yeah, she did. Well, she's done musicals. She started with the Family Theater in Hermosa. Now she's at Redondo, and she's been in 2 plays this year, all both on Zoom.
Wait, this is the one at TCU?
No, this is my 15-year-old. She's a
Oh, that's
sophomore at
right. You gotta.
Redondo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't work with kids.
I sent the TCU back. I sent TCU home last night because they're probably going to get a season back there. So they have, they'll start double days in a couple weeks and get
Nice,
going. So
nice. So this guy, Dr. Raymond Elliott Brock, now he's coming to the house, right?
cool.
Because my mom bought a piano, so you're playing piano. Um, so now I don't notice it because he's touching my shoulder. He's doing this. He's touching my back. He tells me to run along. Tap. Some people tap little kids on the backside or whatever. Um, and one day at home in the house, I go to use the bathroom. I come out, and he's standing in the hallway, and he's got his penis out, and
Are
he
you
wants me to
kidding
and he
me?
wants me to touch his dick, right? And and perhaps like stroke it for him, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, right? So then he tried to like grab my hand and do it, and I'm like, nope, we're going back downstairs and whatever. So I kind of like blocked out everything. It was just weird, because prior to him, I already had a bout of sexual abuse, attempted a sexual abuse by someone else who, you know, per, I'm trying to protect the guilty here, but I'm like, do I tell my mom? And eventually I tell my mom. My mom doesn't believe me because she's like, I'm being oppositional. She's I'm making up stuff because I don't want to do piano because she wants me to. I tell my stepfather, and my mom were just newly married, and my father's like, I don't know what to say. did you talk? You got to talk to your mother about this, because he's like, I could do something about it, but no one will like the result. So
Yeah.
he's caught up in it. I'm caught up in it, and then one day he's coming for piano lessons, and he's downstairs and he's playing the piano, and I'm upstairs in my room, and I just tell my mom I ain't coming downstairs. That was it. I just shut down. I
Yeah.
shut it down, because that wasn't the first time he did that. So I just locked it down. I said, nope, I ain't coming
Yeah.
downstairs.
Wait, and how old were you?
13.
Yeah.
Yeah. 12 going on 13. And the weird thing is, after 13, all of my grades dropped. Like I was an A student and a couple of B's, and then from 13, pretty much till junior year in high school, my mom was delighted if I even passed. you know, um, it was just weird. The homework was there, and normally if homework is there or projects are there, someone gives it to me, I just do it. In fact, I do it as fast as I can because I don't want to do it. But then I'm lingering. I see it and I don't want to do it, and I see it and I leave it in the room and I don't go into the room. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
leave it on the computer and I don't go on the computer. This is later on in
Yeah.
life, of course. So now, it's weird because, and I only know about all this retrospectively, Wendy, but I did the same thing with my schoolwork. The same thing I did with him. I left it in a room and I refused to come out. You know?
Yeah.
Um,
It's trauma. I
yeah.
mean, that's trauma in your body, and that's the human response to unresolved trauma.
And
Like,
volleyball became my escapism.
yeah.
Volleyball became my room where I felt safe, where when nobody could shame me, nobody could mess with me. In
Yeah.
fact, no one even called me a freak. Volleyball, we feel like the X-Men of sports, right? Where we're just these weirdos, right? I mean, okay, and there are some normal people too, but um, yeah.
But
So
like
that.
back for
Mhm.
for your age, I mean, like it's one thing to be playing men's or boys to men's volleyball in Southern California today. Like back where you were, like on the East Coast, and even where I was in the Central Valley, like
It's a girl sport.
boys volleyball wasn't big. I mean, I have one coach. We had a legendary coach in Fresno that brought the guys that wanted to play down to Santa Barbara and Southern California so that they could get exposed to boys volleyball, and we had some great teams.
Isn't there
But
always one? There's always one guy like that. And
and he's a
thank the
legend.
Lord, there's always one person like that.
Yeah, exactly. He's a legend. I took Luke back this summer to play at his place. I mean, he's got this amazing setup beach court in his backyard. It's 105 outside, and these boys are just grinding because they love to play. And but it takes that one person because back in the day, there was not a lot of men's volleyball, boys volleyball. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's good that you found that place
Yeah.
because you got to have that safe place. You got to have that place that builds your confidence when you have you're fighting something that traumatic. That's awful.
And it's crazy because the only reason why I was able to look back at these things, because you can only do it retrospectively. You can't
Yeah.
do it in the moment. There's just too much. Everything seems like it's 5 times as big. Your parents are like huge. This piano teacher is huge. Um, and by the way, he'd show up with fresh bruises, and they would say he got mugged and this and that. But I found out later that he tried to do it to one of the kids who in the neighborhood of my school, that did that. And every time the kids saw him, they beat him up. So because it's Flatbush Avenue, it's Brooklyn, and sooner or later, whatever. So that was the story behind that. But for just like you, Brooklyn, I'm one school away from Lincoln High School. That's where Stephon Marbury went. Carmelo Anthony went here, this and that. So it's basketball and football country and baseball.
Yeah.
The Italians love baseball. Um, and but John Dewey, which didn't have any sports teams, John Dewey High School in Brooklyn
Hmm.
had a teacher, Kojak, played for Creole. Creole won nationals in '92 and I believe in the '80s as well. And I still don't remember his real name. His nickname was Kojak, and he taught French. He was a French
Okay.
teacher. He wasn't even a gym teacher, and
Okay.
he would offer something called power volleyball. Him and a volleyball gym teacher who was a volleyball enthusiast named Roy Karuba, and they would just offer, teach. They would offer this class called Power Volleyball, and then if you wanted to know more, we have this after school thing. So I would do that, and after school, of course, because I wasn't doing my homework, I would do that, and I would hang out and do that, and eventually just became really really good. 3 years later I ended up playing pro because I was one of these long arm. I'm like, my body type was meant to play sports. So
You have the extended wingspan.
yeah, 6'8", man. I'm
You have a
6'1".
6'8" wingspan, and what
Yeah,
are you? How tall are you?
6'1".
Yeah, that's impressive. You are meant for elite sports.
Yeah, but and back to this, and I'll wrap this up because we have so much other fun stuff to talk about. Like I promised you, didn't I promise you that? Um, Retrospective action for the people listening at home, and the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because, like Kanye West, I'll bring it all back full circle and seem like a genius instead of a crazy dude. Sometimes you need to look back in your past and take two things, and they don't actually have to. One thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the other, Wendy. Right? Like I got attempted molested by my piano teacher, and then my grades dropped. Where's the correlation, right? What does one thing have to do with the other? Maybe nothing, maybe everything.
Yeah.
That's the point I was trying to make.
I
Um,
lean towards the latter.
yeah,
I'm a very big believer. It's all connected.
yeah,
All of that's why you know, mind, body, spirit, like everything comes through our bodies. And I think as athletes, we understand that better. And the more we move our bodies, the more we understand what is trapped in there. But it's all a nervous system response. You know what I mean? And
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
You ever see Silence of the Lambs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Silence of the Lambs, to the people listening at home, Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal the Cannibal, was tricked an FBI rookie into a quid pro quo. You want information from me to catch this serial killer, you have to tell me something about you, which is something that her boss instructed her not to do. He's like, you do not want this man inside your head.
Yeah.
Dr. Hannibal Lecter wasn't just, a cannibal. He was a practicing psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
Um, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because he asked her, you feel like if you catch this serial killer, Buffalo Bill, that these lambs that you hear screaming at night will stop screaming? Um, because if you remember, her uncle slaughtered lambs and she let them all out one night, and then the uncle got mad and like sent her away, and then caught all the lambs and killed them all. So she has these nightmares. She can hear them screaming at night. So the question was, do you feel like if you catch Buffalo Bill that the nightmares will be done? Basically, in essence, that's the question. And her answer was, I don't know. And he said, thank you, Clarice. That's you know what I'm saying? That's the answer. It's not even about answering the questions. It's just about looking back. And that is
Yeah.
the for your daughter who's in theater right now. That's big. The retrospective action
Oh, huge.
is as she continues to get older and be able to reflect on life experience to play a role as opposed to being younger and doing Stanislavski or Meisner type stuff.
Yeah.
Um, very 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 important. So
It's so true. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually making me think of you didn't bring up any books, but Matthew McConaughey wrote a book this year called Green Lights, and
Okay.
obviously talking about acting and his journey in Hollywood, but the stories of his life and the way they play into his acting, like seriously, I think it's the book of the year. And it's for anybody that's looking for wisdom and a good story, but it's really fascinating, just his take on Hollywood. And so going to that, like how your life influences your art, it was really good.
I like Matthew McConaughey because I get a sense. I don't know him personally, but I mean, I'm good at reading people, and when I'm wrong, but most of the time I'm right. He strikes me as the person that treats everybody the same.
I would
He's
agree.
someone where he can know somebody that can do something for him and he treats him nice, or he can see a homeless guy on the street and sit with him and share food with him and talk to him the same way as if they're people.
Yeah.
That's my favorite type of person. And everybody's like, oh, my friends are like, oh, Jason, that's everyone. I'm like,
Nah,
no, it's not.
no.
No, it's not. You're very much like that. You treat everybody the same across the board, and I like that. Look, we have loved ones, we have family that we're gonna have a little extra sauce, a little more A1 on that steak, but across the board, and you notice about me, I can talk to Shaquille O'Neal, or there's a homeless guy who's crazy talking to himself and sits next to me and starts talking to me on a train. I get up the same conversation. I look at them both the same way. I'm very, very rarely in awe of someone based on what they've done in the past. I'm very, very rarely in awe of someone like that. I'm only in awe of people who may have done something in the past and still emote that
Yeah.
presence that makes you go, oh, holy shit, I like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
guy.
it's all about presence, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I can't, I, the only, I think the thing I have the least tolerance for, because I do feel like I'm really big on fairness and how we treat people. But man, elitist, anything that comes off as elitist to me, I'm like, can I get out of here, please?
Yeah.
Like that is when I'm talking. That's where I disconnect.
Yeah.
But anything else, man, just bring me. I think we were talking about this the other night. Just give me real, like, and I'll take any story. Just give it to me straight.
Yeah. And for you, it's even more important because for you, you're one of these people like, okay, there's 24 hours in the day. And then you look back at the end of the day, did I waste my time doing that? Did I waste my time on Jason's podcast?
Oh
I
no.
just lost an hour of my life talking. No, but I think you see where I'm getting at, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I never
Um,
feel like that with you.
I think the same reason why people like gravitate towards us, and I'll use only myself as an example, is the same reason why a lot of people don't like me. Because there are certain people that, and I'll just use volleyball as an example. There's certain people that other people are in awe of that I just talk to and talk about like a regular person. And they're just like, who do you think you are? You know how many championships this guy's won? This and that. And I'm just like, you should be asking for his autograph. You should be on your knees thanking him. He plays a sport for us. And I don't, that's not how I operate. That's not how I operate. I'm sorry. A lot of people and players, since I'm on this thing and I'm gonna bring it back positive. There are players out there who don't like me because I'm not in all of them. I'm not. I don't. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
You play. You do this one thing. Volleyball. This is a volleyball podcast, but not really. Volleyball players. Okay, at every level. Listen to me. Listen to me. You do this one thing. This one thing better than most people. And some of you are alpha males, and you think because you do this one thing, you do everything else better than everybody else watching you play. And some of y'all just need to chill. Some of y'all need to chill. And those people I'm not gonna mention, but the people who treat everyone the same across the board, I will highlight.
Yeah.
Can I? And this is rare because I don't even talk about him or talk to him that much. Taylor Crabb. Um, I liked Taylor Crabb before he hit the beach scene. He played for an indoor team called Hustle and Flow, which was a mixture of East Coast and West Coast guys. My boy Luis Mendez set for the Dominican national team. Frankie Valdez played with me at Balmeso, won nationals twice. Um, and everybody's like, that's a cool dude. That dude's straight up and down. He's young. It's 2013, I think, and they won nationals. They sandbagged. They played double A, but the outside hitters were Taylor Sander and Taylor Crabb. you know and
Solid.
like just through word of mouth I knew he was a chill dude before he even so I'm not a fan of his game. I'm a fan of his attitude. i'm
Yeah.
i'm, I'm only a fan of I'm a fan of the sport, but I rarely a fan of a particular player. Brandy Wilkerson is one I'm a fan. All right, Taylor's
Such a
brother,
fan, but
Taylor's brother,
again,
Trevor Crabb, hybrid, just can do it all, can play defense, this and that. I'm a fan. It is what it is. Go
yeah.
ahead. Talk to me about Brandy. Sorry, what was that?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I love watching her block. I mean, she's such an incredible blocker that I love watching her. But I also, I follow her on Instagram, and it's the message behind the athlete is so solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's so inspired. It's so, wellness based and caring for other people. And she's a light. So I'm always way more interested in the story behind the athlete
Mm-hmm.
than the athlete itself. And then when you watch them play, the game becomes more beautiful if you know part of the story.
Yeah, to me, their game is a bonus added to who they are, not the other way around. Who they are is not added as a bonus to their game. So,
Yeah.
and that's the difference between me and other people. And I'm not playing judge there because that's just how people, that's how their their train of thought streamlines. It streamlines this way, it
Yeah.
streamlines this way, or that way. Mine goes that way, and it is what it is. But yeah, but Taylor, um, thought he's a cool dude before that. And then in New York, I think his first qualifier he played with Spencer McLaughlin, who's now the assistant coach at UCLA. Um, I think he's back with Spara. And Taylor played 100-degree weather with a freaking with a sweater with sleeves or whatever in the qualifier. He had a qualifier, you know.
Yeah.
And then the song in the background was "Dirty White Boy." So now every time I see him, I think of the song "Dirty White Boy." Now this is 2015, 2016, maybe Taylor, if he's listening, and he might be because he did. Taylor did our pick six challenge, our NFL pick six challenge last
Nice.
week with me and Rob. So he's 5-1. You know, his brother was 1-5, so I'm gonna tease him. But so that was the first time I saw him, and then what put the icing on the cake was when he won New York. And I was doing the beat for one on one.
Uh-huh.
He gave me a telephone interview when he had to board a plane. So instead of boarding, he actually sat outside of the boarding area for 21 minutes, 22 minutes, and gave me the interview. And that was like, you know, you think of Taylor, you think of party animal, you think of this just wild, this guy whose nightlife, makes you think they got like four people carrying him to the sand and just throwing him in the middle, like go play, you know, like Brad Pitt from like Snatch, like when he gets knocked
Yeah.
down on the gate, the gate they pick him up with the gate. No, but the dude runs a tight ship. He's professional. He's courteous, and as a foundation, the way I see him treat everybody across the board straight up and down. You know, I'm a fan more so. I'm a fan as far as game. I'm more of a fan of his brother than him. But
Hmm.
as far as like who a person is and how you treat people across the board, I guess both of them are like that. You know, sorry about that. And the father's like that, whatever. But that's the kind of human being I'm in awe of his attitude.
Yeah.
His game, yeah. Listen, he's a beach player, and until you win a gold, I don't think there's anything. You know, to me, the gold is it. If you're not gold, you got work to do. That's it, right? Gold is there is an end game for volleyball, the Olympic gold medal. Okay,
Yeah, for
so
sure. Yeah.
I'm in awe of Dane. You know,
Yeah.
okay. Talk about beating the odds. You've been in this
Yeah.
game for a while, Wendy, with me. Come on, I mean, who you think picked Dane and Eric to win the gold? I'll wait.
Yeah. Impressive.
Yeah, so those are the reasons why I think a lot of people like me as much as they dislike me, because
Yeah.
my attitude personifies who I want to associate with, who I want to talk to.
Well, and like I said, you do seem to, and I liked it, and not to switch gears, but even on all the political stuff you've been talking about, like you do your research, and you don't play into like identity politics. You don't play into, you say one thing, so you think you can be typecast across the board. It's really doing the research and knowing the experience that you have. You people can't put you in a they can't slot you. So, that frustrates people too, because you're not beholden. So
No, for me, for politics, to I don't know who said this quote. One cannot be betrayed if one doesn't have a people. So my loyalty is to the truth. And the
yeah,
truth if the truth can never betray you. The truth just does. I mean, you betray yourself if you don't want to accept the truth, but the truth. And I'm not talking about facts. I'm talking about what you feel in your heart that moment, then and there,
yeah,
because facts as the facts change, our opinions change too, right? Like
right.
I grew up hating gay people. I don't hate gay people. I love gay people. In fact, I'm gay for Brandon Clemens, you know. Talk about ultimate reversals, right? But you're right about the whole political spectrum thing, and I think I can say the same thing about you. No one can even begin to guess what your political affiliation is. If you have one, and there ain't nobody, don't nobody know it, ain't nobody gonna know it. So,
Yeah,
um,
because I'm a big believer
yeah.
in listening,
I'm,
and knowing that, like, we all like whatever our story has been is going to influence our politics or what we think about things. And if you have the ability to listen to someone else, you're going to learn something, and you should change your mind along the way.
And I always say, if you're gonna pick a side, citing as a pretext values and being an honorable person. Okay, citing as a pretext those values. Don't play yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Like recently, I posted that Trump wanted a bigger check for stimulus or whatever, and like CNN was saying, oh, he never mentioned this before. Oh, this comes at the 11th hour and this and that, and before I go on, you know I didn't vote for Trump. You know I don't even like the guy. I don't care much for him. He's and between him and Mitch McConnell, he's the human stain on the underwear of life. So I'll just say that as a whatever. But when you're wrong and you're wrong, and when you're right, you're right. So basically, I posted CNN's not telling the truth. He's mentioned in July. When everyone got the $1,200 or whatever, he wanted $2,000. He wanted, and I'm like, he's mentioned it in July. He's not mentioned it now. So what happens is all of my friends on the left, they all tack in and they're like, well, he didn't mean it. He's saying it now because it benefits him and this and that. And I'm just like, okay, two things. He's gone. He's done. It doesn't benefit him. He doesn't. If you think he's doing it to cement a positive note in his legacy, fine. Isn't that what we all want? We want someone to finish on a positive note. Where if you think there's some negativity, I mean, unless you just hate the guys more than I do. And two, and this is important, but the thought kind of escaped me. He has, if like I was back to the values thing.
Yeah.
You should not lie.
Yeah.
To get your point across, because you've already said that. When they go low, we go high, right? When you've already said those things. So if you are willing to just accept something that's not true because there's so many things, other things about him that are bad, then what have you become?
Yeah.
It's all fair game now. No, it's not. No. That's not what you said. You said I'm with this party because of values, because of integrity, because of honor. And all they do is lie, but yet you're willing to accept a lie. Oh, well, this is just one. And I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this one particular thing, and if it's a straw man argument, then just admit that you're wrong, admit that I'm right on this one, and admit that they're wrong and move on. Right?
Because nobody does that anymore. Like they pick their side, and then if something comes up on their side that doesn't serve that argument, they just ignore it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And it happens on both sides. So that's what I like about when I read your posts. I'm like, yeah, see, he's, no one can peg you. So
no,
I think it's refreshing.
I'm going to toot my own horn, man. There are people that are getting paid to making a lot of money to keep people on opposite sides.
Yeah.
There's ratings. There's people that have a job. There's Fox News. I was watching about like how this former politician objected to the $2,000 whatever because why should I take money out of my pocket and put it in yours? And I'm like, dude, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. First of all, it's not coming out of your pocket. Second of all, it's coming out of our pockets. So what this guy was doing was trying to draw a line between say, oh, it's us. We're this group of people that's paying all this tax, and these people that are receiving all this money is not. No. Our federal tax dollars is for what? It's for insurance. Insurance meaning in case shit. Okay? In case shit meaning COVID. Right? So it's basically it's a catch-22, right? Like you want things to open up, and in order to make things open up, don't give people money. Don't give people money and allow things to shut down. That's that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the tactic.
This has been. People keep saying like, oh, if we could have just done it like Europe, and this has been incredibly challenging as Americans because we don't operate like Europe. I mean, you go over to Holland and families are getting paid $7,000 a month just to exist. That doesn't happen in America. So when you're closing, small businesses, what I've hated about all this is that and I
No.
the targets of the world get to exist. The Amazon's been huge in delivering necessary goods. But the big guys get to exist, and all the little guys are out there struggling, closing, dying. And at what point, like, where is the common sense that's actually, what's the through line on, getting rid of COVID? Like, how is it that these big guys we can all stand in line in a Target, but we can't go, get our nails done? You know what I mean? There's been such a tough deal in the science of all of this. And what's been remarkably tough is when people lose confidence in their leaders, then you don't know what to believe, right? So when we have people making rules that they themselves don't follow, we lose confidence as people, and then all of a sudden we're all over the place, and the thing is spreading, and it's real, and people are dying, and no one knows what to believe.
And I think those officials hurt the cause because instead of actually solving problems and instead of listening to medical warnings, not just advice, but medical warnings, they turned it into a finger pointing competition, right?
Yeah.
Like Newsom, you're an idiot. That governor from Texas, Republican governor, you're an idiot. Andrew Cuomo, New York, in the beginning, you were an idiot. New York got turned into ground zero, and now, I don't blame him for not. Honestly, I don't blame him for not trusting anybody. Oh, he doesn't trust the vaccine, and I'm like, dude, can you blame him?
Yeah.
Can you blame him? There's two things wrong with this. The hypocrisy, one, leads to finger pointing, and finger pointing is a distraction from what's really going on. People are losing their, you can't spend 8 hours a day yelling you're right and they're wrong, and then when you look in the fridge and there's food on the table and you got to feed your family, there's nothing there. I mean, what does that do for you, right? I mean, certain activism messages don't put food on the table, right?
Right.
There's a rap song called Self-Destruction, but Ice Cube said self-destruction can't pay the fucking rent. You can either sell dope or get a job, so yeah, I agree with you. And the other problem I have with this is everybody says trust the science, and I think people need to be careful because science itself is based on questioning things that we accept as facts. Science evolves, and that's what I meant by when the facts change, so do our opinions. So scientific fact, to me, is an oxymoron.
Yeah, what we knew in March versus what we know now, and it's like when you put those two things together, but then you have the breakdown in leadership. We haven't evolved very well, in my opinion. Like, if we're going to say what we think, I think kids should be back in school. And, and there's a lot of science that points towards, them being a low risk, and giving families the option, obviously, to have online education if that's what works for them because of their living situation or who they're exposed to. But, there have been a lot of mental health implications, and it's been really hard on families and kids to not be in school. And it really is scaring me that I don't think they're learning. I think we're going to see repercussions from this year and what kids know going into the next grade. Like, there is going to be an educational backlash of they're not learning and that's not even a cut on the teachers. I'm watching my kids do Zoom school. I'm watching these teachers do everything they can, but it's tough, so I'd like to see kids go back to school.
I would too. But I mean, if kids are going to choose to go back to school, they need to know how to take care of things at home first, right? I mean, the biggest thing that people are missing as far as the science or as far as the social aspect of COVID is concerned is that, okay, I'm more immune to it. I'm going to be fine. Oh, I'm young. Oh, I'm strong. Kids are young. Or kids are whatever. It's not about how they are. It's about who they bring it to.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the most ignored things. And I think I'm not just talking to you about why I disagree with you. I'm talking about why I agree with you, but for different reasons. I think if they're going to do that, they need to make sure they change their situation at home. If they have an elderly person, make sure make sure it's a bigger space, make sure that person's quarantined or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're privileged enough to have space in your home.
Right. I mean, there's just so much individual, every single case is so different. That's what's made this whole thing so hard, you know?
Not true that. I'm gonna give you some volume. All right. So, but yeah, but for me, that's what I want everyone to be careful of. I want people to be careful because we were warned that there was another wave coming in October. So I mean, so there's a lot perpetuated saying, "Oh, the government says, oh, we did this, it would go away." They never, they never said that. They never said that. They said, "Look, this is the best chance at hospitals not being overrun. This is the best chance of you staying safe." And by the way, there's another wave coming in October, and we were
Hmm.
warned about that, and we're suffering the results of that because it's right. The cases went up, the
Yeah.
deaths went up.
Yeah.
Um, I was pretty sure Kelly had it. My girl. I was pretty sure I had it. I don't. I'm pretty sure I had it twice. you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely in our psyche. Like I think anytime we feel sick, that's but it does become the concern. Like I haven't had it. My sister's had it. No, but actually my sister has it right now. Um, but none of my and my daughter had it in Texas, but it affects everybody so differently, and it's not about being worried. When Lauren got it, I wasn't scared for her. I really, she had great care. She was kind of sick. She was fine. But she luckily was isolated in Texas and not bringing it home, not, and she got it in time to get better so that she could come home. So that was, it's like everything is, it's been so dicey. And it really puts a lot of mental strain on people because every time you feel like a little tickle in your throat, you think, oh, should I leave the house? Like, am I gonna, if you're a caring person, you don't want to spread it.
of
It's not so
course.
much about it affecting you.
Yeah, and you don't. And the crazy thing is, like I think whoever is in charge of the whole medical thing, just test everybody. Just test everybody. Don't say you can't be tested because you don't have any symptoms when in the same breath they're saying, oh, you could have no symptoms and still have it. So I'm like,
Right.
you're scaring the shit out of people. Now someone's gonna have chest pains from stress. That's where I think my
Yeah.
chest pains have been coming from. I've had some shortness of breath and some chest pains or whatever that I need to see somebody about. But I just found that I got tested twice, and I'm not. It's not COVID related, but now it's a new problem. It's a big problem, something that I've never had before. But
Hmm.
like you said, this is gonna affect a lot of people psychologically and scientifically in other ways because stress can be a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I hold or I'm trying not to get into politics too much, but where I hold our politicians' feet to the fire, right? It is our collective tax dollars. It is our insurance meaning in
Yeah.
case stuff. You know, to quote somebody, he says, "What about the people who are supposed to be able to help out most? Congress. Um, if you can protect companies from potential future litigation, if you consider that it's equal to the emergency of getting kids the help they need, the families the money they need, because they're starving, what the hell does that say about them? What the hell does that say about certain the people we've elected? Um,
Yeah.
Too much relief for the unemployed. Can't do that. It makes them not want to work, which was another one of my favorite lies. Do you believe there's a positive incentive to exist on less than minimum wage? Tell that to a 13-year-old girl in Texas pleading for gifts for her three siblings and for her parents, writing this year that this year's been tough on them because of COVID, because the only money they have is just to pay the rent if they can make the rent. You know, we blame the needy and protect the greedy.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, "Oh, he's a socialist." No, no, no. I'm not a socialist. I'm saying something that even if you're a capitalist, you cannot deny.
No,
A pure capitalist will agree with me. We
yeah.
protect the needy, the greedy, and blame the needy.
Yeah, and that's where this whole idea of conscious capitalism comes in, right? I mean, it's not the dollar above all else, but what we show most of the time is it is the dollar above all else. And if you don't consider the human condition and bring the story of the people into the process, then we've lost it. And I do think, like, when you get to the higher levels of power structures, that's what we've lost.
Yeah.
And that's why I prefer to just, we're saying, like, I don't want to get too deep into politics. I don't either, because I really, as much as I follow it, I really just prefer to focus on human connection and the conversations and being the best I can be every day, and figuring that that's what I have to contribute to the world, because to run for office, and I grew up, my dad served in office. He's an absolute, patriot, humble. And I always say, like, he's, in my opinion, love my dad. He would have made a great president. He would have made a great governor but he was too humble. Like, he didn't go to the highest levels because he really was so humble. And it takes, when what you see working in Washington and Sacramento and in politics, there is an ego that I am so not attracted to. As much as I love to follow the stories, like, I'd rather connect with people and just be real. And
I
you just
mean,
don't see that.
and I can appreciate that because it's something that you can control.
Yeah.
Just like volleyball, there's certain controllables and there's certain things you
Yep.
can't control or whatever, such as life. And I think that's the cool thing about what volleyball teaches us, right? Wow,
Yep.
the controllables thing, that's the same thing with life.
Yeah.
What you're talking about are things that you can control.
Yeah.
Aaron Wexler is very much like you in that respect. Aaron Wexler is a podcaster
Yeah.
like myself, former UCLA libero standout, and is the program director for West Coast Volleyball, which to me is top two, top three, one of the top three beach clubs in the United States of America.
Nice.
And by the way, he's a great human being.
Yeah. And that's what goes the distance, right? And then you turn out good athletes. So you are a good athlete. You appreciate what you have. It's all that stuff.
Yeah, man. I also had a conversation about. This is going to be a real leap off the cliff from what we're talking about. I had Bree Scarborough on the podcast, and eventually we got into this conversation about transgender in sports because I was getting all kinds of messages from my friend because my favorite Congresswoman, Tulsi Gabbard, was trying to push a bill called the Women's Rights Protection Act or something like that, that everybody thought was code for transphobia. And basically, it's vetting the process of allowing transgender athletes. Like, it's really focused around having male transgender athletes playing women's sports.
Oof.
So, which is a touchy subject because you can't be self-honest without sounding like a bigot.
Yeah.
For the
That's a tough
people
one.
for the people who are opposed to it. And when I say bigot, everyone thinks bigot's like this negative thing or whatever because bigot means you're set in your ways and you're stubborn, you're this or that. And in the classic sense of the term, it's not wholeheartedly accurate. You're not a bigot. You're just trying to, protect yourself, right? Like if
Yeah.
someone's pointing a gun in my face, I'm not. I don't want them to not point a gun in my face because I'm against guns. I just don't want him to point a gun in my face because he might shoot me, Oh, and by the way, I love guns. I'm big Second Amendment, so that's a bad example.
Okay.
Guns and gay people, remember? I like my guns and my gay
Yeah.
people.
See, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. And no one can put you in a box, Jason.
Yeah. So I'd like to give you my stance, which some would consider controversial, but here's my stance. And I'll use mixed martial arts as an example. There's a fighter, an MMA fighter, Fallon Fox. I think the record right now, her record now is 21-1. Former male, made the transformation to a female, and within 8 months was fighting in the women's 135-pound division, and is just fucking starching women. Just boom, boom, knockout, boom, finished, boom, ground and pound, boom, and upon reading like the science and as far as hormonal transformation and taking hormonal medications, which is a whole different thing for combat sports because there are a list of banned substances you're not allowed to do. So now there has to be a medical exception, an exemption for people who are transgenders who are trying to, I guess, make the complete transformation to a woman. And all of most if not all of the science points to 1.5 to 2 years of the transformation and just the bone density. I don't even know how they get into that, but and maybe we should have had a doctor on this episode, but I can only speak in terms of my wheelhouse and your wheelhouse. We're elite athletes. You're a volleyball player. You're a power mom. You're a commentator. You're neck deep into the sport like I do. So our opinion matters if not more, just as much as a medical professional on this, because what we see with our eyes and what our experience tells more of a truth than a theory that's supported by peers. You know, not saying science is a lie, guys. Don't get offended. So when I see someone, I got two things from this. When I see someone whose record is 21-1, and before the science says he should be allowed to be like to be considered a woman, is murking people, breaking faces, skulls, jaws. Just I mean, it's a hurt business. I get that, but it looks like a domestic abuse, like a domestic abuse case. And so one, not saying this person should be banned or not, but to say we shouldn't have a conversation is not bigoted. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. And two, on a humorous note, I looked at the 21-1 record. I was like, who was the one win? who was the one woman? Who was the one woman that said, "I'm not having this"?
That's the story. That's the story I want.
So after further research, my second point, and the floor is yours in a minute. It was Leslie Smith. Leslie Smith is an elite fighter, fought in the UFC for a little bit, and she was the one that beat Fallon Fox. That was Fallon Fox's only loss. But getting back to my first point, and this is where I present it to you, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah. It could, because it's not going, that conversation's not going anywhere, and elite sports are going to be affected by this. And all the way down to, we can talk all the way down, college, high school, that, like, it is a absolute conversation that is going to be going forward in sports, and we need to have an open conversation that's not a hurtful conversation. And really, there is so much psychological, people want to belong, right? You got to get down to the root issue of people want to belong and feel like they can be themselves and be accepted by other people, right? But when it comes down to sports, I don't know all the medical background. I know from experience, there is a huge difference between a man and a woman. So, and along the lines of being a woman and being a man, there are different hormonal balances. There are different, like you say, bone density, muscle fiber, everything. We're all different on some small level. But the sports that I've played, volleyball when you're playing co-ed is a lot different than volleyball when you're playing with girls. Or I was a swimmer. I wasn't racing against, like, the men were swimming the 200 free faster than the women were swimming the 200 free, right? Like, we are who we are. And the more that medical science changes and the more advancement we have in being able to change, kind of meld that psychological with the actual physical medical changes, that's a really big conversation. Because when I have those conversations, I never want someone to feel like they have to be less than who they are. And I think that goes for any gender orientation. Nobody should have to be less than who they are. But when we're competing against each other, what's the standard? Like, where are those numbers? What is the, testosterone and estrogen and bone density and all of that? Like, there is sheer strength that a man has. I love being a woman, but I know that I could go to the gym and I can get pretty darn strong, but I'm not going to be as strong as a 6 foot tall male that is doing the same, on average, that's doing the same thing I'm doing. So it's a tough one. And it's definitely, that's to me, that's an emerging argument that's going to it's going to have to take a pretty long path. And I think a lot of people are going to have to weigh in on, but it's going to reach the highest levels of sports. And I do think it's going to come into college and even high school. So
yeah,
it's a tough one.
And I think it's separate conversations too. I think women, transgender women playing in men's sports, transgender men playing in women's sports.
Yeah.
I think people need to be careful not to have one conversation about this and have them
Oh,
lumped in the same, because for me, women participating in men's sports is more of a climb for just general equality.
yeah.
Steering away from sports and going back to sports, like women in the military, right?
Yeah.
For years, I don't know what the military is doing now, or what they're up to, but were not allowed to be in combat situations. Like women in combat were not allowed to serve in the infantry, or not allowed to go operational with Rangers or Navy SEALs, or Green Berets, Army Delta. All of these members of the respected
Special
divisions in
forces.
the Spec Ops community.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the problem with women not being allowed in those things is that the room to be promoted up the chain of command is faster when you serve in those positions. Direct support, there's certain people that are going to get promotions because if you don't have enough leaders in those positions, they have cutoff scores. The cutoff scores drop when you need more people in that position. That's just for enlisted people. I'm not even going to talk about officers yet.
Yeah.
But if you get more awards, you get more promotion points. You get more promotion points, you get promoted up the chain of command faster. So, like you said, there has to be a discussion, like if women are supposed to advance and attain rank and climb up the chain of command and become commanders and leaders themselves at the same speed as men, what are you going to do about it? So I've always had
Well,
a separate hypocritical argument. Sorry, go ahead.
well, it makes me think, and I've never been in the military, and I think you can, all of these things can be transferred. You can go from sports to the military to corporate America,
Female
but
firefighters, whatever. Yeah.
right. And a lot of it comes down to what's the culture, right? Like what's the leadership culture that it exists in that arena. And because I do think even, men and women lead differently,
Hmm.
and so what's the culture that's going to be respected, and does something need to change in those arenas? Because I'm reading a book right now called Cassandra Speaks, and it's all about what if our history, it sounds very feminist, but she actually comes to a very non-blaming, gender open conclusion that like there are no winners, there are no losers, but if women tell the story comes out differently, right? It comes out, we tell a different story, we lead differently than men lead. So what's the culture in these institutions and these organizations that if you promote a woman through the military, does that work in the culture? And I'm not saying that like you shouldn't. I'm very, I'm a strong female. I believe in strong females, but I do acknowledge the difference between a man and a woman. And then knowing like, okay, if we need to change some things, then let's figure out what we need to change. Let's figure out what values need to be celebrated to elevate a woman in a position that we haven't had a woman leading in before, right? So, because in the military, I don't think women haven't reached the highest chains of command,
But
right? And
I believe that it has a lot to do with, again, units, battalions, or companies that they're not allowed to participate in that um, are speedier, moving up on the chain of command.
uh-huh.
You get
Yeah.
promoted faster if if you go
Yeah, and
operational.
if you don't have those opportunities, then you're going to stay in your rank, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my grandmother served in World War II,
Hmm.
but she was a secretary,
Hmm.
and she was a secretary to all the different generals. So she
Yeah.
was up at the very, top, but she was the secretary, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to send her all over the world because she was really good at what she did.
Yeah.
But she was a woman, and so the path was way, way different than what it was for the men.
And and the reason why I'm bringing all this up, Wendy, is because this bill, which is designed to protect women, um, I need to hear female voices. The last
Hmm.
thing I want to do and talk about like male athletes and playing women's sports is whatever, is to have a whole bunch of my male friends get together and say, all right, boys, this is what we gonna do. Ain't none of them trans people, ain't none of them trans testicle people gonna do this. They ain't gonna do that. No, 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 you do not want to have this, when I say let's have a conversation, or when I said in the beginning we need to have a conversation, this
Yeah.
conversation should not be a room full of men. It should not be a room full of men. If we are citing as a pretext what is right and, not, and what is wrong because we're trying to protect our female counterparts, how about have some women in the room and then see how they feel? We cannot have this conversation with a room full of men. And I just said it like 5 times because
Yeah.
for the people listening, I need to pound this to your thick happy heads. All right. Story. Growing
Yeah.
up, Brooklyn, Chester Court, right? Dead End
Yeah.
Street. So Flatbush is a very loud neighborhood, but Chester Court is this cul-de-sac, and it's a very quiet block. So if you ever see the Cosby Show, there's like these little brownstones and these gingerbreads, quiet
Yeah.
blocks and loud neighborhoods. And the good kids stay their ass on the block. They don't go off the block. That's me. All right, and that's me. So I know a gangster when I see one, but I wasn't one. All right, but you know one when you see one. So we're looking, pretty much we're sitting on the porch chilling. My dad liked to smoke, and we see someone run on the block, and there's this fence that's 6 feet high, and he looks like he's running from someone. He looked like he did something bad, and he's being chased by the cops basically. So he sees the fence. He gets a running start, and he jumps. And he uses like one hand as an assist. He splits his legs, one hand as an assist, and jumps over this fence that's like 6 feet high. Just gone. He's just trying to get away. So the cop's running. He sees him, and the cop jumps on the fence, both hands, leg over, topple, boom, goes after him. And then like 10 seconds later, short female, wider than the mother, right? It's waddling along. She goes to climb the fence. And she can't. And then she just turns on the flashlight and just looks. And my father said, he said something very sexist. He said, "This is why females shouldn't be cops. I'd rather have the guy that could take him down and live than the female who's gonna pull out a gun and shoot him." And I was like, "No, no, 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 Dad. You just want cops that could do the job. All right." So this is when I started thinking more out of my mailbox because when I told the story to Kelly, to my life force, my significant other, my world, she was like, "But what do you say about the short, fat male cops who are 5'5" and can't climb that fence and would rather shoot a gun or whatever? Do you want them? Why would you make this argument just against females? Why wouldn't you just make this argument against anybody that's not qualified to do the job?" So that's why, so bringing it back full circle again, what does this have to do with anything? To me, that's why I've always made the argument about females doing male positions. I've never made a huge argument about transgender females playing male sports, even though men think the argument should be equal. Oh, it should be equal. No, it can't. It shouldn't, and it can't for reasons the story I just told you.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, as a male, and I'm a teenager at this time, and I'm like, oh my God, look at this chick. Look at this short woman. Oh, look at this female cop. Can't climb over the fence. Man, man, that kid gonna die if there were two of them. And then again, someone had to bring it. Because
Yeah.
I'm open-minded, people had. I'm mad young. I'm 14. People are like, would you want a male cop like that? And I'm like, no. Right? And
Right.
that's the way I feel about female women in the infantry,
Yeah.
right? Look, if the obstacle course is you have to climb over this big ass wall, and you put a step there for a woman, if you got to put the step there, she shouldn't pass the O course.
Yeah.
But if a man can't scale that wall because he's too short, he shouldn't either. But
Correct.
that was the point I was trying to make with women in the military, and that's the point I'm trying to segue in why I haven't thought about female transgender athletes playing male sports that much because
Yeah.
if we're willing to concede that men are already the stronger sex, they're
Yeah.
already coming into this with a huge disadvantage.
Right. And
Please.
I think, it still goes back to these any of these issues that attempt to put people in their own, to segment people into populations that it's identity politics, right? So you're trying to give a group an identity, and it oversimplifies the argument, and you never want that argument oversimplified. And So that's what you're getting at with the transgender, male to female, or males playing female sports. Like you can't oversimplify that argument.
Yeah,
And I
there's no
agree
way
with
around
you
that.
on, like, the standard's the standard. If I'm strong enough to do what you can do, then, and I want to do it, then I'm all for it. But if I'm not, it's not because I'm a woman, it's because I couldn't scale the wall. So, and we all, again, it's not grinding to find some, it's not, you don't want to, like, plant your flag and say, I'm going to do this, and then miss what your path was actually supposed to be. Right? I mean, like, if you are so hell bent on being what somebody else is, you're missing what you're supposed to be. So we all get to these different paths. Like, when you're saying, to bring it back around, you're not so wowed by, whatever athlete or volleyball player or whatever. We're supposed to be, like, it's the story that we create by being ourselves. And if I'm not trying to be the strongest man in the world. I'm trying to be the best writer, the best mom, the best recreational volleyball player, or whatever it is that what my life has lined me up to be. And if we want to be, I think sometimes we start looking at other people and going, I want to be like that, or I want to conquer that. And we lose sight of, like, looking inward and seeing, what am I really supposed to be? You don't have to be like anybody else, and I think we get lost in that sometimes, and it's very defeating.
Well, I think we do because history gives us permission to be sexist and bigots about this. Like you said, you want to be the best writer, right? And in
Yeah.
my mind, in my male mind, I'm like, do you want to be the best female writer or the best male writer? And that's the category that we've all come to accept. Thank the Lord, it's the same.
Yeah.
Right? Do I want to be the best female soldier or do I want to be the best soldier? And I strongly believe in my heart of hearts that we've come into a time period where you should be able to say that's the same.
Yeah.
Or close, as close as we can say that's the same. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because
absolutely.
you ever
And
see?
then
Did you ever
yet
see GI Jane? Sorry, go
honor
ahead.
whatever is unique about you,
Yeah,
right? Like, and you can do both of those things simultaneously, you
true,
know.
true that.
So,
Did you ever see GI Jane?
no, I haven't seen GI Jane.
Wendy,
I
Wendy, I'm
know.
your friend. I'm trying to help you
All
here.
right, it's
Okay,
on the list.
I'm your
I'm a
friend.
terrible TV movie watcher.
I'm gonna give all of you guys listening, and the same piece of advice I'm gonna give Wendy. Is everybody listening? All right. The stupider the name, the better the movie.
That was Demi Moore, right?
Yeah, G.I.
Yeah.
Jane is a stupid name.
Yeah.
Okay, Demi Moore is a highly, highly capable actress. Viggo Mortensen is
Oh,
a
he's so.
alpha, highly capable male actor. Viggo Mortensen was the command master chief. Basically, she's already in the spec ops community, but as intel, Navy intel,
Okay.
but she wants to get promoted up the chain faster, so she keeps applying for Naval SEALs Academy, keeps getting rejected, and then all of a sudden there's some senator that's trying to, trying to wow the boys and decides to do this secret test case to have this female. Um, and the men are all laughing because they give the female senator what she wants. When she leaves, it's like, so which one do you do? They're like, SEALs. She won't survive week one. She won't survive Hell Week. It's a 60% dropout rate for males, and then she's in this, and then she survives Hell Week, and then she keeps making it through and keeps making it through, and they're just like, oh my God, is she G.I. Jane or Joan of Arc? So really, really, you have to see it. It's
All right.
directed by Ridley Scott, so you
Yeah.
you could appreciate the type of in your face,
Yes.
especially in military movies. It's kind of like in your face, and it's very real, and
All
it
right.
is
Kate and I'll check it out for sure.
G.I.
That's my.
Jane.
Yeah.
Okay, stupid names. Forrest Gump. That is a stupid name. That's a stupid name for a person, and that's a stupid name for a movie, and it's a great movie.
And that's a great.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, the
What a
best.
stupid name, and what an awesome movie.
Awesome
What
movie.
an awesome Gladiator. What a
Fantastic.
dumb name. What a great movie.
Yep.
So, so you said you were playing this morning?
Yeah, yeah, I played this morning. It's too cold out there, man. But I'm just trying not to get hurt in this cold. It's really hard to warm up, but it's still so fun. So fun. I'll
there's
play as long as my needs will hold up.
the cool thing is volleyball. The higher the level you play, the more you're still getting it in. It's like nobody messes with you, and it's I mean, the higher level you play, no one's playing fours at the high level. They're playing. I mean, unless you're the McKibbins or whatever. And I
Yeah.
thought they did a decent social distance thing. I did not go because when I watched the first few videos, I'm like, that's just too many damn people, And again, I'm O positive. I'm gonna be more resistant to COVID, as 6 different studies would show. But and me, it's not
Oh,
about me getting it. It's about me giving it to someone, next
yeah.
to me or whatever. So, but
Yeah. But
but
I
yeah.
will say my volleyball has been the thing that like I really, except for when we were completely shut down and we couldn't play,
Oh God.
like I am playing volleyball and we're not high-fiving and we're, trying to keep our distance and I'm playing with, there's 4 of us out there, but volleyball's been the thing that like,
But doubles, right?
yeah, it saves my day. And
Yeah.
then I
Are you
come
playing
home.
doubles or fours?
No, doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, if as long as I get out on the beach in the morning, like I can come home, I can be by myself or with my kids and do everything from home. But there is something to, getting your body moving, being out in the fresh air, getting your exercise. Like that's the one thing I do not want to give up. So, but everybody's reporting if people they they bag out if they have a cold, like, oh, I've got a headache, I'm gonna check it out. We've had a lot of that, but I don't want to quit playing. Like,
No, I mean, and again, the more as far as social distancing and having a safe sport is concerned, I mean, there's golf, there's tennis, and there's
yeah,
beach volleyball. I mean, you got the
yeah,
wind, right? You got the wind blowing one direction for ocean to strand. You have 4 players who are away from each other. You got, this
yeah,
new ball, which is easy to clean and sanitize. I mean, the new
yeah,
the new AVP. I'm actually getting rid of my other ones. I just have too many balls in the house. I got 12 Maltons. The NCAA's. I got
yeah,
six. I got 16 of the new ones, and I have like 20 of the old Wilsons. So I'm thinking about sending my old Wilsons to Tanzania, because there are volleyball players out there that need balls. So I just wanted to see
yeah.
if I could just send those the balls. Um, the reason why I brought it up is because on my recent other podcast with Rob McLean, Sports Debate Tuesday,
Hmm.
we had made a list, 5 ways that sports saved 2020, right? And we've been on this podcast for a while, and I know eventually you're gonna get hungry, but I wanted to go through this list with you. It's just 5 things, all right?
Yeah.
So number 5, um, I said sports talk shows. I think as
Hmm.
far as keeping people engaged and their opinions on this, and having doctors on in relation to sports, as well as some of these people breaking their silence on social justice, which managed to steer away from a political movement and made it a humanitarian movement. And the
Yeah.
way the way some of these athletes spoke up, I thought was really really cool. Because if, like you said, if the biased man can't allow a politician to hijack that narrative, that they
Yeah.
can allow you can allow someone to hijack sports. You can allow someone to hijack um, what you eat. You can allow someone to hijack COVID. This and that. So sports talk shows. Number 4 was the AVP. Um, I thought the idea of getting a film permit, um, and turn a parking lot in Long Beach into sand courts, and build a facility around that, and consolidate the level of players where AVP champions and Olympic gold medalists had to qualify, for 3 weeks straight. Amazon Prime, of course, one of the biggest moves AVP's made, because now
Huge.
it's everywhere. And big up to Conover, big up to Donald's son, big up to Josh, I think, who's the media guy. Um, Still got an axe to grind, man. You should have put me in that commentating booth. You should, he don't even know me, but yeah, he will. So AVP was 4. 3, NFL. I put death, taxes, and the NFL.
Yep.
Just like WWE, the show goes on.
And can we talk
And
about, yeah, can we talk about Josh Allen?
oh, you mean the guy from Wyoming that got
The
dropped
guy
down
from
in the draft?
Fireball,
Yes,
the guy from Fireball, California. This
yes.
is where my family farms, so my family farms right next to his family. And that kid, he's younger than me, but went to tiny little Fireball High School, played for the junior college, right? 20 miles south of Fresno. Fresno State didn't look at him. Fresno State's got a great history of quarterbacks, right? Fresno State didn't give him a chance. Wyoming's the only school that gave him a chance. And look at the year he's having in the NFL. He's only been in 3 years, right?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
So that's been my NFL highlight. So,
Wendy Jones.
Yeah.
What's my favorite team?
Your favorite football team? Ugh. I don't know.
The Buffalo Bills.
Is it really?
The Buffalo Bills. I've been a Buffalo Bills fan since 1989. Jim Kelly, Darryl Talley, Cornelius Bennett, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, James Lofton, Nate Odoms. What?
I did not know you were a Bills fan.
Pete Metzelaars.
I guess it does make sense with the New York thing.
They're the team that plays in New York and not New Jersey.
Okay.
I am a Buffalo Bills fan. This man is breaking all of the records. He just broke Jim Kelly's touchdown record.
Yes. I am loving watching this kid play.
He broke Jim Kelly's touchdown record, and Stephon Diggs broke Eric Mull's receiving record for Buffalo in 1998. And he's leading the league in total receptions, 120. The next person is 111. Beasley leads the league in total slot receptions.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills lead the league in third down conversions. This kid knows how to play, and he's got a great coach too. Because sometimes when you're ahead, you know what happens. You want to try to run the ball. You want to try to you want to play the game with the clock. And Sean McDermott's not doing that. If you flung to get ahead, and if that's the type of football that just keeps you in killer mode, then keep flinging. Because when they were up on the Patriots, they weren't trying to run up the score. That's the way he wants them to play. Because the last time they tried to play run the ball or just dink and dump, what happened? The Rams came back. They blew a 28-point lead, and the Rams came back and they almost lost that game. Thank God for a PI call on fourth down. That's my favorite football team.
I love it. Well, that's been my NFL highlight. So when you said the NFL, and I agree that the NFL itself has been. It silencing sports. That was weird for that little period that we didn't have. We were missing the big stuff. And so
but even now they're dealing with it, right? There's 53-person rosters. You had Denver, I think, had 4 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
They signed someone from the practice squad who was a wide receiver to throw the ball. Look, it's made the season interesting because they're man next up mentality.
Yeah.
They are who they are.
Yeah.
They're practicing what they preach. Next man up. That's what it is. Next man up mentality. That's Bill Belichick way, but that's really the NFL way. Number 2, the UFC. Because when COVID hit, they just basically empty the arenas, and anyone that's ever watched the reality show The Ultimate Fighter or Dana White's Contender Series knows that they don't have fans anyway. So they were able to put on these fights and nothing really skipped a beat because the people that were following those shows, to them, it was like a glorified reality show. Yeah. Fight of the Year candidate with Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, 125-pound division, which is by far not their popular division. These guys just for 5 rounds. There's something about watching. Everyone loves the knockout. All right, everyone, we as fans, we love the knockout. We love submissions, slick submissions, but there's nothing in the world like watching someone go the distance, and they gave it everything they had, and you just want to know what the hell the judges think. Those are just really good fights, and I know MMA is not your wheelhouse, but Dana White. I'll tell you why after I give you number 1. Number 1 was the NBA. And the NBA was the same reason as the UFC why I had them 1 and 2, 1 and 1A. There was a pandemic. There were shutdowns, and everyone was just saying, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And these dudes out there, between Dana White and the NBA players and Silver, Adam, were like, I don't want to do can't. I want to do if can applies, how? If can happen, how?
Right.
Tell you what.
I would say the same thing for the U.S. Open in tennis and the French Open in tennis.
Yes. Honorable mention.
Yeah. Because those U.S. Open, I watch more U.S. Open, but like when you got to those 2 finals, like when we were stuck in our homes, like that was watching that. Oh my gosh, I was glued to that men's US Open final. And again, the same thing with, just the business models of the NBA and the UFC. I'm totally with you.
The NBA gets more kudos from me because with tennis and with golf and with mixed martial
Yeah,
arts,
yeah,
they're single compared to the
right.
combatant sports. All right. The AVP I want to revisit after I talk about the NBA. You have all this money. Why not make a bubble? We can afford a bubble. You
Yeah.
know, we'll lose money this season. Of course, there's a pandemic, but the money that we've gotten the last from the excitement of watching the NBA Finals and LeBron and all these people. LeBron plays like he doesn't have a contract. By the way, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? He plays like he's playing for a contract. Because some people get their
Yeah.
money. It's like, I'm good. But they built a bubble. Didn't 354 players, zero positive tests, which a lot of people call BS or whatever in this. But so they showed a way that if the word is can, how? This way.
Yeah.
The AVP did kind of a poor man's bubble, right? Because a lot of those people train together and they only. And if you know a lot of the players like we do, they only really associate and socialize with each other. A lot of them are single, and a lot of the people that are families just all they do is go volleyball and go home. They're not
Hmm.
out there partying. They're not out there singing karaoke. They're not out there, on the strand acting or on the pier acting like it's spring break. So they created like a poor man's bubble, and to my knowledge, they didn't have any positive tests either. So
Yeah, I don't think so.
that's why AVP made my top five list because
Yeah.
they're like, wait,
I
we
loved
can,
watching I loved watching Miles and Ty Loomis. That was my
yeah,
here with my kids in my house. We were gonna get on the road and drive up north. Um I was like, I can't leave till this match is over. And we all sat here and watched it. But it's just so much fun. So
yeah.
much fun.
Listen, Miles Partain, just like a lot of the female players we've mentioned, really makes people re-examine their game.
Yep.
Take a look at yourself. All right. I'm not gonna be Debbie Downer. I'm not gonna crap on people who've been in the qualifier like scores of times and never qualified once or only qualified once. I mean, there are players who jump higher than Miles. There are players that hit harder than Miles. There are people who have better hands than Miles. There are people that uh, have better twitch reaction off the athletic twitch reaction than Miles. But yet here this kid is making the main draw with his brother at age 15. His brother's 17, making the main draw again with different partners with Paul Lotman and now Ty Loomis, and now seems like a main draw attraction. Now, I think for the next few years, you're not going to see that kid in the qualifier anymore. I think I think they need to get on board. I think if beach volleyball is a true meritocracy, this kid is more than paid his dues.
Oh,
So
and a good solid human being behind it, which is what I love.
yeah,
The humility, class act, great parents, wonderful people. And then to watch him and his brother, I said that when I watched him at 15, when he was 15, I was like, it's like watching a chess game. Like you say, it's not a power game. It's just watching him. It's so smooth. It's just my favorite thing to watch.
I got to interview him when he was 15, but the coach said he was really shy. So I took two of his
Yeah,
players. I put one player on his left, one on his right, and they stood like with their hands in
I love
their
it.
hands in front of them like they were strapped, and we did the interview, and I invited him on the podcast a bunch of times, but like certain players, it's not really his thing,
Yeah.
and also, I had to give him a lesson on who you think is a stranger and who's not. Like he asked me, he's like, how do you know all these people? How do you get all these people on the podcast? I'm like, how do you know all these people?
Yeah.
How do you?
Just talk to
He's
him.
like, I just grew up here, and I'm with them all the time. I'm like, there you
Same.
go. How are we different, Miles? Are we different because you playing and I'm done playing? Yeah, but but that's the only difference. That's the only
Yeah.
separation. Where we're very much the same. you
Yeah.
know, both left-handed too. I see
There
a
you
lot of
go.
myself in him when I played. Our jump is kind of the same. He's got pretty good hops, but not great hops like me. I had longer arms than him. Um, his hands are cleaner than mine, but I'm a better
That's great.
setter. I'm a better setter for the position as far as like leadership, who to set and when. Also being the best blocker against the other team's best outside hitter. But his set location is really really good. His discipline is unforgiving. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
He doesn't. It's no frills. He doesn't have. Think of John Mayer, right? How many mistakes do you see John Mayer make in a game? This kid's very
Yeah.
much like John Mayer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a game of consistency.
Yeah.
Like it absolutely.
And I guess that's what I was getting back to, right?
Yeah.
There are players his age and a little bit older than him. I'll just say 5 years older, to that range as
Yeah.
far as reaching volleyball primes is concerned. That jump higher, to hit harder, more athletic. They're not winning. He's winning.
No.
Why? We know why.
Make
So
less mistakes. Yeah.
yeah. So, but that's why I give. But anyway, that's why I give the NBA more credit because they showed everybody how.
Yeah.
If the word is can, how, and
Yeah.
and boom, that's how. So good for them. Um, I also talked about volleyball and relationships, and we could finish with that.
Okay.
Like I always ask some of my players if they've ever lost like a girlfriend or like a relationship to volleyball.
Hmm.
AVP had this question like volleyball breakups worse or better than real breakups, and that's not the route I was going because I think it's a silly question, but at the same time so much fun to answer. Volleyball breakups, oh my god, it's so much worse. Listen, I remember seeing that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, has anyone ever dated someone that doesn't play the sport, that doesn't understand the volleyball lust that we have for it, that's led to the relationship's demise? And for me, it's happened once or twice. And in fact, actually twice. And the second time, when she walked out, she said, "You already have a girlfriend," and I thought it was pretty cool because
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
hilarious.
yeah, I was like,
Uh, it's passion. I
yeah,
mean, what are you gonna do? I
yeah.
mean, I even face it with my kids. They're like, "Oh my God, Mom, you're going." I come home and tell my kids about my recreational volleyball games, and they're like, "Okay, it's just let her talk." Let her talk about how she got 4 blocks this morning or whatever. Like, she's fired up right now. But
I love the way you use recreational. You guys are savages. What do you? But sorry, go ahead. I
I
didn't.
mean, well, that's been the most fun thing for me is to see because I don't know that I ever considered myself an elite athlete. I came down here, started playing, got hooked into 6-man because of the gym I was working out at when some team lost their middle blocker, and the guy looks at me and says, "You want to play?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to play." So I get in there and then start playing doubles, and all of a sudden you start playing with people. You're like, "Wait, you've been to the Olympics? Wait, you're some professional indoor player, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, we're holding I'm holding my own. I'm learning every day. I'm getting better. Like it's as fun as it gets. So I'm 46 years old, but I still play with my daughter who's 20 and plays for Hector at TCU. She comes home on break, and we got a game with Carly Lloyd the other day, and oh, what was her friend's name that play? She's an amazing outside hitter from playing indoor in Europe. So it's me and Lauren and 2 professional indoor players playing, doubles volleyball. And I'm like, am I really, can I just hang here as long as I can, as long as this body will hold up? Because I'm having the best time playing with my kid and people who have these incredible stories that have been all over the world playing the sport that I love. I'll hang out for that as long as I possibly can. So it's just too fun. But as far as relationships go, I don't think I've ever had a volleyball breakup. And we were actually talking about volleyball breakups this morning on the court, but it was more of like, losing a partner, like when you play and then you get in a fight and how that gets into your psyche. And I don't know. I'm pretty chill. I think I've only ever gotten upset with one person that I played with because she was dropping F-bombs on me, and I'm like, what the heck? Like you can
Go
take
kick
that
rocks.
home.
Go kick rocks. How about that one?
Yeah,
I like go kick rocks. So,
yeah.
yeah, so
So
for me, it's really just about understanding for people listening that have significant others or just people you're dating that don't understand your passion, that don't understand that it's not a hobby. For those of you that like to use the word way of life, volleyball is a way of life. Don't. You don't have to change that language. You don't have to change that for anybody. You have to, right? We were just talking about telling the truth and being on, the truth meaning deriving from your self-honesty, which isn't always the same as fact, but is the truth. It's your truth. If that's your truth, that's who you are. You can't let anybody tell you oh, it's just a hobby. For two reasons. One, because those things aren't mutually exclusive. All right, it can be both. It could be a hobby and a way of life. All right, so it's not like, oh, it's either one or the other. Choose. Bullshit. Um, and two, they have to understand going in about respecting each other's passions, right?
Yeah.
Then at the end of the day, it's not like they don't have a passion. They have hobbies too, but there's something that they feel just as strong about,
Yeah.
what you feel about. So make sure they need to self-examine and not be hypocrites, because, it's like, wow, in the same breath, you're just like, you're watching straight episodes of Big Bang Theory, it's what I do, and I could turn it
Yeah.
off. I'm like, oh
No,
yeah,
I
turn it
mean,
off. You can't, so yeah,
well, your girl, but Kelly, you take Kelly out there and practice with her and run her
yeah.
through drills, and
Kelly's my guinea pig.
I love it.
Kelly's my guinea pig. Like as a coach, everybody talks about why certain drills work, why certain drills don't. Game-based drills versus drill-based drills, or and the science behind it. And then people just keep referring to the science or the studies and this and that when they fail to realize this very, very, very important. I'll call it fact, or as close to a fact as my opinion is going to be. The scientists, Wendy Jones, are us, the
Yeah.
coaches. We're the scientists. We know biomechanically what a body is supposed to be able to do and what's not, and I get that. But then you have to figure out, all right, I want to try it on this individual. I'd like to try it on this individual. I'm still a quasi-active player. I'd like to just try it myself. The scientists are us. Stop using scientific fact when science itself is about questioning
Yeah.
what we think to be facts.
Yeah.
We're the scientists. I don't consider failure experience. I consider experience. I consider success and failure experience. I've been doing this for coaching for 22 years. So Kelly loves the drills because Kelly is a shark. She likes to keep moving. If she goes backwards, she will die. She's very, very much like you. Um, And there's another person I want you to meet, Chi DiMaggio, who I spent a lot of time with. We're doing something called One Heart Volleyball. It's this project where we're going to be live streaming volleyball from like 12 different countries at the same time. Like
Oh, very cool.
four of them are going to be like pro scenes, and I think 8 of them just like recreational. Maybe Central Park Hard Top, Central Park Beach, Hermosa Beach here, Ghana, West Africa. My boy Seydou's there. Italy, Uganda. So, and I don't know. I might want you on board with me. I'm
That sounds
going to
like
be
a
doing
great
play by
project.
play. I need
Yeah.
a Wendy. I need a right hand person.
Do you?
We
All
should have
right.
been doing Pepperdine's games last year together.
Yeah.
We should have, because there's nothing better than bouncing off back and forth with
Oh, I
someone
know. I
to
just said
tell the
that.
story instead of just
Somebody
telling the
asked
story
me.
yourself.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day, like, why do you like to do podcasts so much? And I was like, because I like conversation. I don't like talking at people.
Yeah,
Like I like to go back and forth. I like to bounce back and forth and hear what someone else has to say and then respond. So,
yeah,
but
like
yeah, and then watching volleyball and telling you what I think. That's so fun.
yeah. But listen, for the people listening at home, P1440 was doing all of Pepperdine's home games, and we called the Big West Championship. And the 5 commentators were Mike Dodd, Tim Hovland, Travis Muirwitter. We know we know the brother can write, but we know he can talk too. Rob Sparrow, Savage, and of course yours truly, myself. Now, as far as color commentators, color analytical, I would probably give it to Dodd. But solo sitting in that thing by yourself and telling a story, it's me. It's me. Yes, Dot, I am better than you at that. No, but as far as star power is concerned, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're better than Mike Dot." Yes, yes, because it's not about what you've done in the past, and it's not about who people respect you. It's the question is, can you do it better than this person or not? Straight up,
Yeah.
don't sell me a freaking resume.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's based on your resume, but Dot is a better color guy than
Yeah.
he is telling the story by himself. If I have to give up the goods to somebody, I give it up to Rob Sparrow. Rob Sparrow is this Filipino guy that does a lot of UC Irvine's indoor games.
Okay.
He is, you never heard of him, but he's a savage.
I,
But you know the others.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Travis, and I've heard of Rob. I can't say I've heard him commentate though.
It's Rob. He's
Yeah.
Rob actually is better by himself than he is with someone. So
Okay.
I've heard him with someone. Me, I toot my own horn because I believe in my heart of hearts I'm interchangeable like that. If you
Mhm.
need me to call it, I could call. You need me to break down analytic, I could do it. Oh, by myself, I'm gonna do this by myself. No, nobody, no problem. I'm good. You know,
Yeah.
and based on my own inner beliefs and on the feedback I've been getting. I get
Yeah.
emails, I get messages. You know, I'm at the UCLA indoor game, and they're like, "Oh, I heard your beach game. You're awesome. This is my kid. He likes you." You know, people literally tapping me on the shoulder. So my friends, my mom's listening to you in Wisconsin. You're hilarious. So you know, I don't know.
But see, that's what I love about you, Jason, is like you really have just gone out and created what you've created, and people come along
Yeah,
eventually. But you were doing what you knew you wanted to do, and you didn't give a rip what anybody else thought. You showed up. Like I remember seeing you at, oh man, Manhattan Beach Pier. I don't know what qualifier that was, and you were calling him, and I don't think anybody else would have been out there calling him, but
yeah.
for volleyball junkies like us, people are starting to pay attention, and that's, and there are a lot of us out there, there are, we just, and when you meet them,
Tens
but
of thousands. Yeah,
yeah, so
uh,
you've got them all over the world.
that's awesome. Yeah, and that's why I like the podcast.
Yeah.
I like the podcast because I'm interested in talking to interesting people. Um,
Yeah.
is there a better person that I could have closed out the year with besides you? No. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, you just mentioned Taylor. You could have had Taylor." I asked Madison McKibben, and there's a lot of people, volleyball people, but uh, I like interesting people, and I'm saying that cautiously because the timeliness of that sucks because that it sounds like I'm suggesting they're not interesting people because this in this woke culture.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say about them? I'm not trying to say shit about them. I'm trying to say I'm on episode 72, and it's safe to say all 72 of my guests are interesting people. You're a repeat guest. Duron Forbes, who, my boss or my or we're on time. I don't know where the hell we are. Program director Endless Summer, John Mayer, Dane Blanton, Dave Palm from Florida, Dave McKenzie's in Malaysia. I just want to talk to interesting people. And if they have a volleyball resume, if they have this pedigree that commands the respect and the views and the attention that they deserve, fine. But
Yeah.
that's I just want interesting people.
Yeah.
Wendy
Well, for me,
Jones,
it doesn't get any better than volleyball and current events. So
no,
I love what you have
yeah.
spliced together. It's good stuff.
And now I know how to finally do my website because when I did the website, they're like, "What's your mission statement?" I'm like, "I don't know." I don't have one. But now I know. We want interesting people and we want to provoke thought using sports.
Yeah.
Volleyball's our wheelhouse. Using entertainment,
Yep.
using health and wellness,
Mm-hmm.
and using there was a fourth thing. I'm just old and I can't remember. Sports,
Yep.
entertainment, health and wellness. Can't even remember. Um,
Current
the
events.
current
You,
events.
yeah.
That's it. Those are the four things. And
Yeah.
I love you as my guest because we right? Don't we always bang out all four?
Yeah. And I mean, and if you, that's why I love your show. Cause somebody asked me the other day, and I put this up on my Instagram, recommended your podcast among some other really big ones that have been around longer than yours. But somebody sent me a message and said, I've got a 22-year-old that just needs to hear about the positive side of life. He's given up. She said, what podcast do you recommend? Because the kid doesn't want to watch the
Optimist
news.
Journal.
No, so positivity, good stories. The story behind the story is what is always the most interesting, and that's where everybody connects. So,
I've never shared that piano teacher story.
oh, that's a big one. That's a major processor. Like that's a lot to work through.
I've
So
I've
my
never
hats off
shared that.
to you.
I've never shared that with anyone except
My hats off.
someone
Yeah,
close to me.
way
So
to, way.
that was weird. I
That's
mean,
heavy.
yeah, it was a
That's
long
heavy.
time ago, and I guess I can again. The more you can compartmentalize and put it in this box, the easier it is to just talk about the box. so,
Yeah.
so Wendy, who was your last guest? You had a podcast.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately. I've been guesting with. I haven't. I did a great talk. So my best one has been a Zoom call that I've got going, and it's kind of it's almost like a conference call of podcasts. I have a mom, two college athletes. Then I had my two college athletes, and then I had Carly Lloyd. So she's expecting. She came home from Italy. She's expecting her first baby. And she was the setter for Team USA in the 2016 Olympics, and went to Cal.
What's your name?
Carly Lloyd.
Oh,
the
yeah,
volleyball player, not the soccer player.
No,
right?
no,
So
of course.
we had two Carly Lloyds in the 2016 Olympics, and this is the volleyball player. So I did a really good conversation with all of them, just about, connection and generational learning and what we learn from sports, and from a parenting perspective, what we want from our kids, what our kids have learned from their sports. And then Carly is getting ready to have a baby, so it's really cool when you bring all those generations together. Like, that's just my jam. So
Definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
listen, I got a 4-year-old, and she's already built to play sports at 4. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I just want to surround her with people like you, and people that just keep that glass half full on their worst day. And for sure, surround her with people I trust. I really, if I had the choice to want her to play volleyball or not, I really don't want her to play volleyball. I think she's built to play volleyball or basketball or tennis or whatever, because of the journeys that and there's no real money in it. I mean, there
Fair
is,
enough.
but if she wants to, I'm not gonna stop her. She
Yeah,
wants
I
me to, she
say
wants
you
me to
just
coach her. I can do it. I mean, I would
yeah.
actually want someone else to
expose
coach
her
her. Yeah.
expose her to all of it. Expose her
Yeah.
to all of it. Like, it's so
Yeah.
much fun. Like, I'm kind of going through a nostalgic period because mine are all so big. So yeah,
Hmm.
expose her to everything and just have so much fun with it. She is such a cutie.
Yeah. Also, I went in this on a positive note, but I wanted to go back to what I was talking about before with my piano teacher. Like, for the people who have who have daughters or children that went through this, just say something. Speak up as much as you can, because there's a lot of people in positions of power
Hmm.
who you feel like you have to eat it because you're in this situation. So for everybody listening that grew up like this, or for if there's a younger demographic of people that listen to this, and I do have a lot of teenagers that listen to this, speak up, man. Speak up,
Yeah.
because I mean, I got so angry a few months ago, when I heard about coaches that are
Yeah.
still coaching, or
That's the
people,
story that I was.
Jason
Yeah.
Olive really blew it up with that former USA coach that
Yes.
basically used his power, where, like, even the mother knew and still let it happen. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it really really upset me, because you have children, so it upsets you,
Oh
and it
my
upset
God.
me. I'm like, I got a daughter. Someone does that to
Yeah.
no.
No.
So I just want people to, if you have something to say, don't not speak up about it because of consequences, because
No, because the
you
truth
you
prevails
lose
in the
more
end.
by not saying anything.
Yeah. The
You
truth,
lose.
you have to believe the truth prevails in the end, and it has to come out to
Mhm.
work through that trauma, because that is an incredibly traumatic experience that cannot stay buried
And it
in your
changed everything. Look, it got
yeah.
when my grades dropped and I wasn't
Yeah.
graduating school in time, I got kicked out of the house.
No,
I
and
got kicked out
yeah.
of the house. I was homeless for, like, I was 17 or 18 years old, homeless. Like 3 months I'm sleeping on trains. So it's like all of these things psychologically lead to things that can affect your physical, or just
Yes.
your first chakra,
Yes.
well-being, you know?
Yeah. So
So,
the body keeps the score. Check that book out.
okay.
Yeah. It's all about, like, our traumatic experiences and how
Wendy,
they
I don't
get
like to freaking read. No,
listen to it. Do you do audiobooks?
yeah. Actually, I'm doing an audiobook for someone right now.
Okay, do the audiobook.
I'm
But I
doing
have to say, Matthew McConaughey's audiobook, he reads it. Listen to that one first. That'll
yeah.
break you in.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He's the man. And Wendy Jones, you, my dear girl, are the woman. Before we go, let's plug in your Optimist
Yeah.
Journal. Where can people reach you? Get to know who
Yeah, you
who
guys
Wendy
can find
Jones
me
is.
at
NY Varsity Sports Handle. Go ahead. You're gonna love what you hear.
okay. Yeah, you guys can find me at theoptimistjournal.com, or Wendy Jones _ the Optimist on Instagram. And my blog comes out every Sunday. I'm doing what we can expect for 2021 and what we learned in 2020. That'll be out this Sunday. So that comes out every week. And I'm a life coach and just trying to help people connect and understand what is so great about their story and how they can use it to impact the world. So love these conversations, Jason. Thanks for having me.
The pleasure's all mine. Wendy, you're the man. Look. I mean, you ain't a man. I mean, you's a woman, but you know I'm man. You know I'm man. All right, listen. Wendy might love you, and you know what? I think I love all of you guys too. All right, so no haterade from me. Served in vanilla. All love served in dark chocolate. All right. I am Jason DeBillius. This is my guest. This is Wendy Jones. This is episode 72 of the Option Podcast. Love you to pieces. See you next year, people. We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.